Hello everybody. Tonight I'm going to read some of my Substack writings out loud at the Dovetail Cafe. That is attached to the Duluth Folk School. And about once a month they have a writer's open mic. Well, they have an open mic and I think it's spoken word. And usually when you think of spoken word, you think more of rappy type poems and stuff, and there is a lot of poetry. But about a year ago, I thought, what the heck, I'm going to read my stories out loud. And so far, it's been going pretty good. Now, tonight, I thought I would read something that I've sent out on Substack. I did revise it a little bit and reprinted it on my medium.com blog. And because I changed it just a little bit. I was reading about writing and it said to start your writing in the middle of something exciting. So I changed the first couple paragraphs to make what I hope is more exciting. So here it goes. As I looked out my windshield on the way to my uncle's funeral, I was bewildered by pelicans plopped or teetering along Valhalla Drive. While I was on the gravel road, my brother and nephew and mother were nearby traveling on U.S. Highway 59 for the funeral. Under this highway was a culvert, and pelicans were scooping up fish. They pulled over to take photos of the pelicans. And my brother, I asked him if he had those photos, but he couldn't find them right away. So anyway, ever since I was a child, I've been curious about the peculiarities of pelicans. Whenever I see or think of pelicans, I am reminded of this silly poem by Dixon Lanier Merritt. And the title of that silly poem is, and I bet you know it, A Wonderful Bird is the Pelican. A funny old bird is the pelican. His beak can hold more than his bellycan. Food for a week he can hold in his beak, but I don't know how the hell he can. Lake Chetek is named after the Ojibwe word for pelican. The lake is located near Avoca and Slayton, Minnesota. It was a place the Meinhardts would picnic. Back when I visited my grandparents in the 1960s and 70s, I don't recall seeing any pelicans at Lake Chetek. And at the time, I had no idea what Chetek meant. I knew that Valhalla Drive was the main entrance to Lake Chetek State Park, and I knew that Valhalla was from the Scandinavian immigrant influence, named after the Norse mythological heaven for warriors. And here I have a couple graphs or maps. This is Minnesota, and right there is where Lake Chetek is, way in the southwest region. And right now I'm sitting in Duluth, and we got a lot of trees and lakes here. But in southwest Minnesota, it's prairie, and there's not that many lakes, and there's not that many trees. And then here's another map of the prairie pothole region. And the prairie pothole region, let me see, where am I? Oh yeah, there's Minnesota. So it goes into Iowa, South Dakota, North Dakota, and up into the prairie provinces of Canada. And my caption for that map says, much of southwest Minnesota is located in the prairie pothole region. Lake Chetek is the largest lake in southwestern Minnesota. It is a rare gem in the prairie pothole region that stretches into Iowa and South Dakota. Because large lakes are scarce in that part of the state, Chetek has always been a popular spot for fishing, swimming, and boating. Lake Chetek State Park lies on its eastern shore, drawing visitors throughout the summer. While writing my creative nonfiction manuscript about Jeanette's childhood and youth, I learned that there is a town in Wisconsin named Chetek, which is a different spelling of the Ojibwe word. They spell it Chetek. The Ojibwe word is spelled Azhede, but I think the ZH sound is very similar to the SH or the CH in England. And here what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the link. That's a good thing I'm practicing this, huh? I'm going to pull up this link so you can hear what that sounds like. And that's from an Ojibwe Peoples Project dictionary. It wasn't until I attended my Uncle Ernie's funeral in June 2011 and stayed at a fisherman's lodge on Lake Chetek that I truly noticed the pelicans. Ernie is my father's brother and is not a character in the manuscript, but he certainly is a character in my life. Wink, wink. I wondered, why were there so many pelicans and why did they suddenly appear? When I visited Ernie on his lake cabin in 1987, I don't recall seeing pelicans. But while there for his funeral, the pelicans seemed to be plopped all over Valhalla Drive. They are a large and, as I said before, a very peculiar looking bird. Then I learned about DDT, a type of insecticide. It was used during World War II to limit the spread of insect-borne diseases such as malaria and typhus among both the civilians and troops. After the war, it was promoted as an agricultural and household insecticide. Agriculture fields surround Lake Chetek. By 1972, a ban was placed on DDT. Only after that ban did bird populations begin to recover. Some 14 years after Ernie's funeral, meaning this year, my daughter and I joined Café Scientifique, Twin Ports, a monthly gathering where scientists present talks in an informal setting, right here at the Dovetail Cafe. On Thursday evening, guest speakers discussed birds and the lingering impacts of DDT. The room was packed. The DDT causes the shell of eggs to be thin, therefore reducing the number of chicks hatched. I thought back to Lake Chetek and the pelicans I finally noticed decades after my first visits. I looked online for specific information about the pelicans and the use of DDT near Lake Chetek, but I couldn't find any relevant information. I'm not sure if pelicans stay at Lake Chetek all year round or if the reason I saw them in June 2011 is because they were migrating. According to the Minnesota DNR website, pelicans visit Lake Chetek in the spring and in the fall. I just learned about eBird. It's a tool for bird watchers. A visit to that website shows that Daryl Haricola spotted 70 individual pelicans on Sunday, April 13, 2025. I contacted him, and he visited the lake again on the next Saturday with a woman named Victoria Bayer, who took this photo of a pelican. So I just stopped at the ranger office at the state park, Daryl said. She said some stay here the entire summer, but they're more common in the spring and fall when they migrate. If you would like to hear what a sound a pelican makes, then you can listen to this. And hang on, let me pull it up. In my opinion, it sounds like a growl or a grunt. And I got that off the eBird website. Pelicans in Duluth. Currently, now I wrote this about 3 weeks ago. Currently, pelicans are stopping on the St. Louis River in Duluth on their way north. On Friday afternoon, my husband and I visited Chambers Grove, which is on the east end of Duluth along the St. Louis River and near Jay Cook State Park, as well as a stone's throw from Wisconsin. Now, every time I see pelicans soaring over Lake Chetek or along the St. Louis River, I feel like I'm seeing something both ancient and new, a creature we almost lost. And again, I cannot think of those pelicans with thinking about the poem. Thank you for listening.